I turned down a $7,000 web design project and I have zero regrets. Hi, I'm Lindsay with Nomad.com. I'm a web design agency owner and I help people just like you start a web design business. In this video, we're going to talk about two things: why I turned down a super juicy design deal, and a couple other qualities to look for in clients while you're onboarding them to make sure that the project goes smoothly. There are times where even I can't believe that I turned down a $7,000 project, but there were some very good reasons why, and I literally wouldn't change a thing. So how this all went down is I got a lead for a web design project, and we started off the process just like I always do. We started with a phone call. That went great. I did a tour of the facility. That went great. And I was really excited because this company was a local business that kind of highlighted the culture and the history of this area. And it just seemed like a wonderful challenge to take on. Where things went a little south is during the contract process. When I got this contract back from him, it had tons of red lines going through the clauses that I have, in particular, some of my liability clauses. I continued to try to have discussions with him to get to the bottom of what's going on, and he kept talking around my question. I would ask a direct question and I wouldn't get a direct answer, which heightened my skepticism even more. In the end, I really didn't get enough of a response from him that helped put my mind at ease about assuming that kind of risk. And I ended up not doing business with him because when you're running a small business, taking on liability like that is something that could put your entire business at risk. And for me, $7,000 design project doesn't even come close to what that would cost me if things went south. And I believe that discernment is something that has kept me in business all these years. Here's a couple other things I would be cautious of as you're onboarding a client. If a client has taken out a large loan to start their business, I would be careful here. And before you cut me off, hear me out. The reason I say that is because the clients that I've seen take out a large loan ahead of time have made some really common mistakes. They're paying a lot for office space, for furniture, for equipment, things that take up a lot of capital and cut their runway short when they're starting their business. What ends up happening is 2-3 months down the road, they're feeling the squeeze financially because they don't have a lot left what they've borrowed, and they have to start stretching things. Since web design tends to be a larger investment, that's the first place they turn to because they need to kind of recoup some of that spending that they kind of went ham on. It's definitely not everyone, but it is something to kind of proceed with caution on. Another thing I would be careful of as a web designer taking on a new client is a client who has a lot of strong opinions about exactly how things are going to run. And this is a range. I would say people on the far end of that range that just are very particular about how this needs to be done. Where things go south and where it impacts the quality of the website is when a business owner doesn't allow for your expertise to be added to the project. Now, I'm not saying don't work with clients like that, because you won't have business if you don't work with clients, but I am saying early on, you're going to want to be a lot more intentional about your onboarding process in order to ensure that things go smoothly down the road. If you want to know more about exactly what I do for a client who seems to be a little bit on the pickier side of things, check out my course at Nomad.com. I have an amazing module that goes over exactly that, so that no matter what kind of personality you're working with, you get amazing results at the end of it and people who are willing to leave 5-star reviews. Thanks as always for tuning in, and I can't wait to see you guys soon.